In this video, I will be analysing Donkey Kong Country while making reference to Jesse Schell's elemental tetrad of game design to see how the designers applied the 4 elements to create the experience that the game provides. Right off the bat, it is very clear that Rare's vision for the game was to be striking and unique aesthetically. Visually, Donkey Kong Country makes every effort to appear as a 3D space, despite being entirely constructed of 2D sprite. To make the game appear as 3D as possible, the devs used groundbreaking 3D modelling software to create each character, animation and set piece before compressing it all down into small 2D sprite work with a limited palette due to the limited hardware of the Super Nintendo. As you can see, the result gives the characters and environments a convincing sense of form and allows for there to be less abstraction from promotional artwork to the visuals of gameplay, making it easier for players to empathise with the characters and leaving less of a gap to be filled in by the player's imagination. As well as the sprite work to create the illusion of 3D, the game makes heavy use of parallax scrolling for its background and foreground elements, which allows for different parts of the level to scroll at different speeds to create the illusion that some visuals are further away from the camera than others. These effects, along with the many animated background elements such as butterflies passing by, to the sun setting throughout the course of a level until night falls, all work in unison to create an immersive and engaging world for the player to traverse. However, it's not just the visuals that developers used to painstakingly construct the ambience of Donkey Kong Country. Each song in the soundtrack applies every tool at its disposal to add to the atmosphere. For example, the song Cave Dweller Concert uses heavy reverb, the flutter of bat wings, and sounds of water dripping from the ceiling to really give the impression of the player exploring a vast cave system. The list of masterful techniques the developers use to create the atmosphere in this game is endless. I haven't even touched upon the rippling distortion effects underwater, the looming mists of the mines, or the metallic clangs and flying sparks of minecarts crashing into the track. Now, enough of me simply praising the aesthetics of the game. How does it all tie into different elements of the tetrad? Well, when it comes to the story, the aesthetics paint the picture for the player to easily understand what is going on. When you boot up the game, one of the first things you see is a scene reminiscent of the original Donkey Kong arcade game, before being swiftly interrupted by this hip new Donkey Kong and his boombox, establishing to the audience that the arcade game is a thing of the past and that this Donkey Kong is different and down with the kids. It also immediately establishes the new light-hearted and fun tone of the franchise. Once the player is thrown into the action, the game starts with Donkey Kong flying out of a treehouse and landing onto a patch of earth with bananas to his right and a cave to the left. If the player feels enticed to enter the cave to the left, and let's be honest, they will, the player will learn that this is the cave where Kong's banana hoard is meant to be stored. We then find that the cave is completely empty, and this is a surprise to Donkey Kong, and he is distraught about it. Donkey Kong then leaves the cave and the player regains control. There are bananas placed directly in front of the player at this point, and if the player comes into contact with said bananas, they will see them physically travel to the top left of the screen where they are added to your total banana count. Now in just these few seconds, the visuals have established you are Donkey Kong, this is where he lives, his bananas are missing, and bananas are everywhere and can be retrieved. And that's all the player needs to give them a goal to push forward and give them an idea of what they should be doing. As the player progresses further forward, they will find a rattling barrel with the Donkey Kong initials. The barrel makes primate and ape sounds the closer you get to it, and all things considered, everything aesthetically about the barrel just screams, I'm not a danger, just do something. When the player eventually figures out how to break it open, a monkey will break out and join your side, establishing a bond between the two characters and that he is an ally, and presumably establishing that apes and primates in general are not your enemy on this adventure. It's all simple stuff, but everything being put on show here adds to the narrative, which in turn aids the player's understanding of the mechanical elements and goals of the game. The first areas of the game take place in a jungle environment, which is the natural and comfortable habitat for apes. But as the game progresses, the Kongs visit harsher and more foreign environments such as icy mountains and factories. These foreign environments reflect the increased difficulty, as naturally, apes would struggle a lot more in these environments compared to a jungle to survive. No element of the tetrad is isolated, and changing one of them would lead to the entire experience being uncohesive on some level. Even elements that may seem unimportant, such as the character designs of the protagonists being monkeys and apes, actually assists the connection between gameplay and aesthetics, as from a mechanical perspective, Donkey Kong Country is all about swinging, climbing, rolling, and building up momentum throughout your journey. From seeing that the surrogate character is a gorilla, the player can already get a sense of how he plays. A gorilla swinging from vine to vine, fighting off crocodiles and snakes, makes more immediate sense than say something like a man in overalls breaking mushrooms to double his size while fighting off turtle people. All in all, Every inch of this game has had an effective and thought-out use of the elemental tetrad elements and created a cohesive experience that the developers so clearly wanted to create.